Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Portugal the Simple Life, and no better way to start than another edition of My Portugal. The My Portugal series is a collection of interviews where we speak to normal people who have discovered Portugal, fallen in love with Portugal, and found a home in Portugal. This week we speak to Dave and Gina from the US who have made Portugal, and more specifically Nazaré, their home away from home. And this is some of their story. Welcome back, or welcome to a brand new episode of Portugal the Simple Life on an amazing location. I'm joined here by Dave and Gina. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm here where it all began for you.
Yeah.
So Dave and Gina are clients of ours that own this apartment in an amazing location overlooking Nazaré, the marine in the distance. And this is another edition of My Portugal. So to explain to you guys what My Portugal is about, it's about people like you. I would say normal people, but not quite. Who have found Portugal, fallen in love with Portugal, and found a home in Portugal, and made a home in Portugal. So we'll start with Gina, because you didn't find Portugal. Portugal found you.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, tell us a little bit about where you're from in Portugal and your memories of growing up here before you moved over to the States.
I'm from Leiria, a small little aldeia near Leiria, and I grew up in a farm with my grandparents and my cousins, and my parents were in the United States, actually they were in Belgium.
Okay.
And so I was there until I was 16. We used to vacation in Nazaré every year. My grandfather would rent a place, and the grandchildren would come, and this was our beach, our town, our vacation place. Even though there was a lot of other ones closer, but this was it.
This was the one.
So remember the tents that they put up. And we always got one.
Did you have one? Did you rent it, the same tent every year?
Yeah. And, that's where we always... The grandparents will stay inside and the children were outside playing in the sand, So, so that was it. So this was our vacation place. So that's why it's in my heart. And that's why I'm here now.
Amazing.
The camping story is really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
We used to camp. They used to, my aunt put a tent for the whole summer. And my sister, myself, and my three cousins used to spend the whole vacation, the whole summer in the tent. You would come to the beach, and then, and the adults will come in and see us during the
weekends.
Just check on you.
Make sure we had food and yeah.
Have a nice summer, kids. Bye.
But they were already come on, my cousin was already 17, 18.
I find it funny.
Nazaré historically has a history of parents just kind of like leaving their kids here. And,
really?
Yeah, so they do that on New Year's as well. They'll say to the kids, okay, you go to Nazaré for New Year's. They leave them for 2 nights. Did they do that with you? Did they leave you over here for New Year's?
No.
Okay.
No.
And you said, so you came here every summer. Did you also rent the same place? So they had the same tent?
I always remember the house tent was always it was only one summer we did the tent.
Okay.
But I was 15 at that time.
But it was the same. It was the same umbrella on the beach.
Oh yes. On the beach, yes. I thought you were talking about the camping.
Do you still have it?
On the beach was always the same one.
Should get it. No. Get it back.
Get it back. Reclaim that property.
Reclaim that terrain there.
Yeah.
That terrain.
Yeah.
I mean, what were some of your, as a teenager, you moved back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
Worked, grew up. But what are some of those memories of Nazaré that you still kept with you that you can remember?
I don't know. Well, first of all, I had more freedom here anyway. In the States, it was cold, lonely, just didn't know the language, so I missed here. And going to the beach there, it's nothing like here. It's just, it's just no comparison. I don't even know, right? There's no
there
comparison.
isn't. Not in New Jersey anyway, no. So like in New Jersey, they have this thing on the beaches, they protect the dunes. And these dunes are maybe like the width of this table or maybe the width of this balcony, protected dunes. And then those aren't dunes. You want to see dunes, you go, come here. You'll see dunes. You see dunes
you
for
see them here.
yeah, right. You see dunes for miles, right? Go to Baleal out there. You're going to see like real dunes that you could go riding on and stuff. So it's kind of
Bom dia.
so it's kind of funny. Yeah, yeah.
It's just a different vibe than it is there.
Yeah. We often on the podcast talk about our Portugueseness, these because we interview a lot of people that have this connection to Portugal and they take their Portugueseness with them to other parts of the world. So we had like a singer, Laura Martins, and she always spoke about how when she started living in London, her first instinct was to kiss people twice when she met them. And in London, you don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
What were some of those things, the Portugueseness that you kept with you all of these years in the States?
The only thing, no, I don't kiss people. So, the only thing I could tell you is I always go to my Portuguese stores.
Okay.
I will drive an hour to go to my Portuguese stores to get my chouriço, to get my cheese,
Why?
to get my Portuguese stuff. Yes. We even have a liquor store that has Superboc.
Nice.
So that's my Portuguese thing because
So those creature comforts you couldn't let go of.
Yes, that's the things. I mean, because even though I lived in a little Portuguese area, I left that. And very somehow disconnected with Portuguese there. And I think I'm more connected with the Portuguese here than there.
It's
Believe
interesting.
it. Because a lot of those people kept since they left in the 70s, they kept the same way of thinking.
Which is very different to today.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean,
Interesting.
here, I feel sometimes more connected here than with the Portuguese than there.
Okay. That's interesting. All right, let's fast forward. So you meet Dave,
Yeah,
and it all went downhill from there.
Yeah.
that was it. Downhill.
So you originally got Italian background, yeah?
Yeah. Second generation, right? My mom's first generation. My grandmother, her and her father came to the States they went through Ellis Island.
Okay.
And what was really wild about that is we went to Ellis Island and looked it all up and did the research and got all the documentation and stuff. And when I was little, where I grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, I grew up with a single mom. Our first apartment together was on Madison Avenue in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And in her documentation, when she would come and visit us, there was this big Victorian apartment building across the street from where I grew up. My grandmother used to say, "That's where I came," and I didn't understand it as a kid, really, what she meant, right? And then when we looked into documentation, for Ellis Island, sure enough, they transcribed the way people spoke and say that they asked her, "Where are you going?" She said, "To Elizabeth." And it was to that apartment building across the street from where I grew up as a kid,
Wow.
which was that was pretty wild. I was really close with my grandmother,
Yeah.
so yeah. So I got a lot of my Italian heritage or culture from her, And when I was growing up, the family, my uncles, my mom grew up in a fairly large family of brothers and sisters. It was very. There was still some tradition there, every Sunday was like pasta day and the whole family would get together, jug wine, the whole bit, so.
Yeah, because there's a lot of similarities between the Portuguese and the
Yes.
Italian culture in terms of sitting down and eating together, family.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't have all been this kind of Portuguese culture that you found yourself in with Gina wouldn't have been completely foreign to you.
No,
Yeah.
I mean we buck a lot too, but it was more like growing up. That was more of like a Christmas thing than
Okay.
not like a regular
Like
thing.
an everyday.
Not an everyday thing. No,
Staple diet.
it's
kind of thing.
that wasn't like a staple for
Yeah.
us, but it was definitely like that was more of a special kind of meal. But meeting her, it's been more that's obviously more of an everyday thing.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll talk about your first kind of visits here and that experience. But I mean, what were your sort of expectations about Portugal, having learned about it through Gina? What did you expect coming here?
my expectations were, well, she always talked about the beaches. So on the beaches, and then the architecture. So old world architecture, just that whole, because I'd never been to Europe per se when we met. I haven't never been to Europe. So coming here for the first time, this was my first experience with Europe. I've been other places since then, but for
Portugal was your first European.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's skip to that. I mean, coming to Portugal for the first time, what were those things that stood out for you? What are the things that surprised you? What are the things that maybe met expectations? And how was that experience?
So I think one of the things that I immediately gravitated towards was the whole notion of the very social aspect to it. So people getting together in cafes, squares, that kind of stuff. That when I was a kid, when we studied geography or social studies, they talked about one of the things they talked about with Europe was, and at Portugal, Spain, was this notion of the cities being built around squares. So that always stuck in my head. And so when I came here for the first time, the first square I was in Leiria. So that was really special.
The city in Leiria itself.
Yeah,
it's a big
inside.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and then like I said, the cafes, the cafe I gravitate toward. I love the that whole cafe vibe. To me, it's very cool because
you had the castle right there. It's like
in
the circle. There's the castle.
Yeah. But I mean that was that, and then studying. I studied art. In college and stuff. So architecture is a real big thing for me, and Gothic architecture. I'm a really big fan of that, and so the other thing, the first time I was here, I got to see. The monastery in Battaglia, and that's where she grew up. She was baptized there. Her parents got married there.
In Battaglia?
Yeah, in that monastery.
And that's the real Gothic.
And that's the real. I mean, and so seeing that for the first time was mind blowing. And that's always special.
That place is amazing. I've been to a concert inside the monastery.
Oh, the acoustics in there.
It was insane. It was a guy called Rodrigo Leao. Composer. That's it.
Yeah.
Marissa's helping me there with the words.
What is it?
She knows. It's amazing. So
That's
he's
great.
a composer.
Yes.
He's won an Academy Award, I think, for The Help or something.
Okay.
One of the movies. And he did a concert inside the monastery.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, I bet.
Best concert I've ever been to. It was incredible. That monastery is stunning.
It's amazing.
It's the best one.
Oh,
I mean, so for me, seeing that, after studying that in college, all textbook, and then going to some of these, but to actually see that in real life, and I brought at the time, so I'm dating, it was that time. I brought a 35 millimeter camera with me, and I shot black and white. I shot color. I was just I was in heaven. I was just it was really cool.
I'll tell you something about the monastery. It's in school. From my town, I could walk to Battaglia. So I was like, okay, kids, it's time to go on a trip, school trip. So get this in the bus, we go to Battaglia. It was like, really? It was like, I see this almost every day. But that was one of our trips, was to the monastery in Battaglia. I'll never forget that. It's like, okay.
Yeah, you probably snuck in through that building as a kid.
It was like, I could walk. I would walk there. And I would walk to Fatima, too.
How did it feel for you bringing Dave here and because you already mentioned how you felt more connected to Portugal here than Portugal there, and how did it feel bringing him here and him seeing all of that in person? Was it?
I was just since I talked to him a lot about here in Nazaré, because that was another place we came to. It was Leiria, Battaglia, and Nazaré. That was because we only had 2 days, and I just wanted to see him excited about it, to see I wanted him to see what I know, and what I've known since.
What you felt was true for you.
Right.
And it was, you were excited?
Yeah.
You felt it as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And Nazaré, what was it like seeing Nazaré for the first time?
That was, it was breathtaking. Yeah, because, when we came to, it was, when was that? October?
September.
Was it September?
Yeah.
September. Yeah. So it was in the 90s, and so it was
96.
yeah, and
Okay.
so it was. When we came there, up in Sitio, the traditional clothing, you saw a lot of that,
Skirts.
and then also, the stories that she told, they told me, her and her father told me and her sister about the fishing village and what would happen. How the seas were rough before before that was built.
Yeah, they used to take the boats out into
Yeah.
the water from the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, people would
Die.
would die.
Oh,
Yeah.
as soon as you would hear the siren, everybody
knew.
will go, and you'll see the boats there, and you see the wives and their families watching them, and some of them will die on the way in.
Because the marina didn't even
It
exist.
just didn't
then.
exist.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And you could go straight down to the lighthouse. There was no booms.
Oh,
no
yeah.
ticket office. You could just walk
Yeah.
down there, sit on the
Well,
wall.
even a couple of years ago, we were able to drive a car
Yeah.
down there. We
Yeah.
went. That was like in 2018.
18, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that
Yeah,
was when
just to be
Jared did
open.
his thing. That was when it started, more or less. Yeah. In 2018, we were driving a car down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah. So that first experience here, the description of what it was like, that whole story, and then that backstory, and then coming here and then actually seeing it, and then going up in Sitio and then the cliff there, and then overlooking
All
that.
of this.
All of that is just it always stuck in my head. That was to me what a beach should look like in Europe. That was kind of. It reminded me of you see pictures of Monaco and stuff like that. It kind of just reminded me of that a lot, and so I really, out of all and there's other places I've been to that I really like, but it was just something about this place. There's a vibe here that really, there's a buzz.
So it met your expectations.
Oh yeah.
Exceeded your expectations.
Exceeded. Yeah.
What's happened in your lives where you've now got to a point where you're like, maybe it was always in your mind to do it, but let's get something in Portugal, permanent roots. Was it ever in doubt that it would be Nazaré?
Oh,
Was
no.
it always
not
going to be
me.
Nazaré?
Not to me.
So what's happened? What's happened in your lives in America where you've gone, okay, let's do this now? What's brought you to that point?
Well, first we came in 2019. That's when we saw this building first.
You saw the building when it was in construction.
It was all brick,
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, we
walking
were
around
walking
with
through, so it was planks. There was dirt. It was all red. All these walls were all red.
This
They were all
building-
the red clay brick. It was all.
Yeah.
Nothing was finished.
And this building
And-
architecturally is confusing when it's finished.
Oh.
Never mind when it's in construction.
Yeah, and you're trying to visualize it, and you're there with a plan, and they're trying to show you this is the bathroom, and you're like, it's just this big open space, and you're like,
Okay, let's give a quick shout out to Anna Carmo because that's
Oh,
who you
yes,
came with.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
so I saw her last week. She said I told her I was going to be seeing you. She sends her love.
yeah,
I was in hospital when
Yeah.
you guys were here. So we send her. Wait, what's happened? Oh no!
No.
Are we still on? Are we still going? Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to talk about it all over again.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Okay. No, just the screen went black, but I hope it's still. It looks like it's all still recording. Hello, we're still on here. Okay.
Yeah.
So shout out to Anna Carmo because she was the one that brought you guys
Yes,
to this
she
building in the
was.
Yes.
first place. But I mean, what's led to that point where you're like, we're now? I know then maybe the timing wasn't right and there was a lot going on
You
at
know,
that time, and there was
Yeah.
we were talking about it. We were like, we had this plan. We were going to do this, but we were. It was a lot of talk. It was just we didn't put the plan to action right away.
Okay.
Right? And I think there was a few life-changing events that happened that kind of helped. It pushed that along. I was dealing with my mother, and then her passing. So she had an illness and she passed, and then at the same time, Gina, became ill and had some stuff going on. And so the combination of those things, for me anyway, or I guess collectively, it was like life's too short. Why put off? Why keep talking about it? Just do it and act.
So I mean,
Yeah.
we don't even talk about. It was always going to be Nazaré. It was
Yeah,
always
to
going to
me,
be
yeah.
something here.
And I really didn't have to.
Convince him.
Convince
that-
him,
that-
no,
You were
he
also
was
sold
all
on the
for it.
idea of Nazaré for you. It was.
Yeah, I
something-
thought that. I mean, for me, I thought this was from a a place to purchase standpoint, I thought this was probably one of the better places to purchase because there's so much going on here, and there's that, you know, there's a bit of, you know, there's definitely a buzz here, and I thought that, you know, there's always something to do, you know, and it's not, you know, even though it's seasonal, it's really not. You know, I actually like the off season here better than the, you know, the summer season. I like the tail end of summer,
Yeah.
September.
but you know, summer's definitely, you know, crazy here. You know, it's, you know, the beach is buzzing and all that, but there's something here all the time, and you could, you know, we could walk, you know, to pretty much anywhere, and, you know, find something to do.
Yeah. I mean, so it's helped you that you've been here. For you, I mean, you knew the place already, so it helps you that you've been here. It helps you that you kind of know where the building is.
Yeah,
All of that. You're not doing it completely blind.
not completely.
Fast forward to 2021, and let's do this. But we're stuck in the States.
Yes,
We can't come.
right.
We don't. We kind of think we know what we want. Take us through that process and how it all unfolded. Because that's when we got connected.
Yeah, that's when I called you.
Yeah.
Because Anna
Anna was gone.
gave me
Yeah.
your name.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with you. And, I mean,
You
I
were,
guess
you were
we-
kind of
we-
like, he's not Anna, but it'll have to do.
I'll have to
settle.
deal with him. I'll have to deal with
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess you showed us this one first.
We-
Because,
Yeah, I mean, well, you guys exchanged emails, and then we're going to do a Zoom,
right, we did the Zoom.
and then we were doing a
Just
Zoom. And,
complained about your football team on the Zoom.
yeah, we
Or
talked
something.
about the Giants. Yeah,
And
They
how
still
bad
suck.
it is being
Yeah.
Giants. They still suck. They still got Daniel Jones.
yeah,
There
they
you
still
go.
got Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to last, though. I don't think so.
You could have had. You could get Baker.
Mm.
No.
I don't know. Well, I think
Colin Kaepernick. He's there. He's there. He can play.
you could play.
Okay, but it's not a football.
That's for another.
That's another.
That's
for
another.
lunch-
That's another
for lunchtime,
podcast.
That's for lunchtime.
Yeah.
But just take us through that process. So we did the Zoom call. We did the virtual tour. We looked at the
yeah,
building.
we showed us a few of the apartments. This
Yeah,
one,
there were a few still
we
left.
don't talk about that one over there.
No,
No.
Seattle.
Yes,
Yes.
Seattle. As soon as I saw her, I was like, "You from Seattle?" She goes, "Yeah." And also the one down there. So you showed us a few of them. I mean, but Zoom did not really really gave us the full visual.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a Zoom, and then it was the virtual. You had a
We did a
virtual.
Zoom call just to connect, and then
Right.
we did the virtual
Yes.
tour. Take us through. I mean, had you already decided? Okay, we're going to get something in Nazare that we know.
Yeah.
Were you keen on this building still at that stage because of what you'd
We-
seen with Anna in terms of location, views?
We were looking at a place in Sitio too,
Okay.
right? And but this place always, like, the views from here were just, you know, they were stellar, and so it kind of won us over. I think the
Especially
view.
that we had been here and seen
Yeah.
the views
Well,
from
that's-
the building. You
Yeah.
know, so when we even though there was only walls, we actually could see what the view was going to be.
Yeah.
So what was the moment for you where you're like, okay, yeah, let's do it?
And it was pretty much after we had a meeting with you. You did a virtual walkthrough, and then we were going back and forth that night deciding. And we had already made the decision that we were going to do something.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of what it was, right?
How it was gonna work.
Because that whole thing we just talked about. We already decided we are going to make this happen, right? And so that decision was already made, and then it was just a matter of seeing a place, seeing what this place. That was the other thing too. Was like it was really hard when we first saw this place. Because it was under construction and stuff, you really couldn't. You understood the view, but you did not understand any of the dynamics of the layout and all that. You really couldn't.
Where do you get in the building? Where do you go up? Yeah,
you couldn't get it. I mean, you were walking through mounds of dirt and planks and like all kinds of craziness. So it was. So that and then that part of it, and I think the other part too is more financial, I guess. Too is at the time what the builder required up front. I was like, it's not done yet. So you're kind of, but that was more of like the all talk, the talking stage. But then we had already decided, and then it was just a matter of seeing one that we liked. And so we had two that were in the running, and then we got back in touch with you the next day.
Yeah.
And we said, let's
See, I
go.
don't want it.
Yeah, we won't get into that, but
In terms of and then from there, it was a little bit nerve wracking for you guys because it was moving quite a lot of money across reasonably quickly. Did it help that at that stage the property was finished, at least? And
that was the anxiety of what the financial outlay was when it was unfinished in another country. Even though it's just, there's a lot of anxiety with that, at least for us. So I didn't, I wasn't really too comfortable. I wasn't really too comfortable with that. So I don't think she was either. And so that played into that a bit. And then, but seeing it finished, obviously, now you're like, okay, it's done, and I can, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just take us through that process. Was it pretty seamless from there, with contracts, the lawyer, all of that stuff was pretty simple.
The lawyer was great.
The lawyer was awesome. The lawyer was awesome.
Rui Tiberio.
Yeah.
Very, very hands-on, very informative, very on the money.
Yeah, from a purchasing standpoint, the transaction itself was very easy. Right. You guys did a great job, in terms of setting everything up, and once we got paperwork with the lawyer was awesome, and so he explained stuff to us, and we were, we did what was required, and put things together, and provided deposits and all that fun stuff, and then it just moved. Yeah.
And the title deed was done while you were still...
We did it here.
In October.
We closed in October.
In October
here.
you came, the title deed, and then you walked onto your balcony.
Yeah.
You were here. You brought us here.
I did.
Yeah.
And
you even took a picture of us.
Can we confirm or deny somebody cried on this balcony?
Yeah.
Why? I don't want to embarrass you, but take us through that experience of just coming in and actually seeing it with your own eyes, because you said it, seeing it online, seeing it on the pictures, it didn't do it justice.
No, it didn't.
And then you get out onto this balcony.
You come here and you're like, wow. You opened the doors and it was like, see, I told you it was better. Yeah. Yeah,
with everything that went on, and then us going through what we had to go through on our end to put it all together. Seeing the picture and the virtual tour, like Gina said, the picture of the view, it was like, all right, it's
it looks like this little bit over there. Yeah,
and so
probably what it looks like now. It doesn't look like anything now on the picture, but but we know.
I think just walking in and knowing that it's yours was one thing, but then when we walked out here and then you got to see this, how actually big it was, because the picture makes it seem like it's really small.
Very,
And so when you saw it and it was really big, it was like this load was lifted off of me, so it was
it was the right thing. And
yeah.
And for you, you're the more stoic, unemotional one in this. But for you, seeing him on the balcony and having that kind of reaction to something that you'd always wanted,
He gets it.
Yeah, you always wanted him to have that kind of reaction.
Yeah. How did he gets it. He knows where I'm coming from. He knows. He feels the same thing I feel. Maybe feel it a little bit more, because this, like I said, this is my town and this is home. But now he's considered this home too.
Yeah.
And he understands how I feel about my country. So even though I was out of here for many, 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 many years.
It was always yours.
Yeah. So I was always here. I always told him stories about it. things I did in the farm. That was the best, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because when we first spoke, you were like, "Oh, we're going to come. We'll come once or twice a year." I mean, you guys haven't stopped coming. I mean,
Right.
It's just like,
October, January.
by the way, we're here again, Dylan. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I love about you guys, I mean, like I'm really annoyed because we're going to have lunch after this, and I thought they haven't eaten at this restaurant, and you have. You've probably eaten at more restaurants than I've eaten at. So I love the fact that you'll go somewhere, you'll drive to a place. You drove to Coimbra the other day to eat.
Yeah, just
You know?
It's a lot of the
and go to a record store.
And go to the record store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you really embrace the whole thing and explore and go to places. And I mean, what was the last place you went where you thought, oh, this was really cool and unexpected? That wasn't Nazare.
I guess Val
Valfurado? When you rode the bikes that way?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be more. It wasn't recent,
No.
but that beach was. When we discovered that beach, it was kind of that was mind blowing. It was just like, wow, this is right up the road.
Did you go to Mad, the restaurant Mad?
Oh yeah, we were there in. October.
We were there in October. That was one of the first places we went.
They closed.
They closed for the season.
Oh, for the season.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we went
that is
there.
more of a seasonal beach. That one.
Yeah.
And the first time we went, when we discovered that beach, we went to that restaurant, and the waiter there that waited on us
Looks at him and he goes, Dave?
Dave. He knew me. He knew us from a restaurant in Leiria
Okay.
that
He used to work
at,
Oh,
and
amazing.
so yeah, that was pretty funny.
Everybody, everywhere we go here to the Mercado, and everywhere, they all say, oh, I remember him.
Yeah,
So you've become a local.
I have.
Yeah, what was it? January? That's when we first
January
went there?
is when we started going there. Yeah,
Because we went to Pangaea, but it wasn't open yet, so we went for coffee there. So we started going there. So when we got back, we went there, and the lady was like, "Oh my God, it's the Americans! Oh, os americanos voltaram!" And then she looks at me and she goes, "Your hair is blue." So it's an old couple, and we go there once in a while.
they have this puppy, Scotch, this
Scotch,
dog.
right.
Yeah, and so we were.
But she makes him order in Portuguese.
Yeah,
she will not take the order from me.
Yeah, she makes me. She's teaching me.
That's good.
And when we were here in January, we would go there. We were going there almost like every day. It was like so we were hanging out, and it's very
beautiful
old school.
view.
It's like the view up there is the view from there is gorgeous.
They're building an elevator there. That's going to
Yeah, I
heard.
I heard.
From the lookout point down to
Yeah.
downtown as well.
I heard. Or sensore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to actually just be like a bridge and then just an elevator.
Okay.
It goes down. It won't be like the funicular.
Right.
It'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
But I mean, this is one of the things that a lot of people talk about with Portugal is that it's still got this old world feel where you walk into places and people remember your name.
yeah.
You think cheers where everybody knows your
The
name.
name-
But
yeah, right.
Like that kind of,
Yeah.
but it's that kind of vibe where people remember
Oh, yeah.
you and
Yeah.
so you really become a local.
Yeah.
You've even got out to the waves. So tell us about
Oh,
You're the
yeah.
only client that we've got who actually goes out into the water. Everyone else watches. You're the one. You're the only one
Yeah,
that
I
goes
bought a
in.
wetsuit, and I made friends. I have some of the pro surfers here. I'm friends with them, and I met them here. And one of them, Dave Langer, I connected with really well, and him and I are doing some production stuff. And so I had said to him when I was back in the States, I'm thinking of getting a wetsuit because I want to go out there and kind of understand what you do. And so we got here, and we were here an hour, and Dave's calling already, and then we went and got the wetsuit, a couple days later. In the first week we were here, and then that Monday we went out, and that Monday it was really rough. I was having the night before I couldn't sleep because I knew what the wave forecast was.
So you knew how big
and I knew how big the waves were going to be, and I was just like, and I was thinking we were going to go out in like 10 footers. Now he took me out, they were 40, it was like 40 feet plus. And so you're out there, and it gives you a totally different perspective.
You told me you were out in the waves, and you told me I was in hospital when you told me. I was more worried about you than I was worried about me. So it's insane.
Yeah.
How do you feel being out there? That power.
Oh, it's the perspective out there is so different, right? And so one of the things that's really so cool, and you can see it from here too sometimes, or from the beach, is when they're really big that you get to see their profile. And when you see that, you can see that out there. It's really cool. But the one thing from that day that just totally stood out to me was when we were on the jet ski, and we're running parallel to the beach, and we're going from the lighthouse, and we're going up right to the north. And I'm looking to my left, so the beach is to my right, and then the ocean, the Atlantic's to my left. And I'm looking to my left, and there's this big wall of water. It's like, this 40 feet big, this big, huge thing that's like 4 stories tall plus, and it's like coming at you, and we're just going, and I was just like, wow, it was like so, it was definitely, you kind of understood it then, and then I've gone out a few times since then, and we've towed people. His mission before we leave is he's getting me up on a board. So we started to do that the other day. It didn't go so well, but the perspective out there, like really, like the way you see, seeing the lighthouse from. I've always wanted. Being able to be in front of that out on
Oceanside.
Yeah, and then we actually went through, the big rock and the
gap.
The gap.
Amazing.
We've went through that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I have footage of that. We've gone through that. Yeah,
That.
and the first day that we were out there, the water. There was no going through that gap. That gap was being completely consumed with waves hitting it and stuff like that. So to go, and he's one of the best people to go out with. He was safety for Maya Gabrielle, who just won. He was the safety driver on her team. So, I'm out with somebody that,
the best guy to have out
there.
How do you feel about it? That's not what you had in mind.
He's been
with Dave connecting with Nazare. That's not what you had in mind.
No. Because growing up and coming here, prior to the north, you didn't go there.
Yeah,
that was rough. It's like you don't go there, and you stay on this side. Period. Even though the waves here are just they were very big too.
Yeah.
But he's been trying to take me since October.
Yeah, Dave's been trying to get her out since.
She's trying. I'm like, no, that's okay. Let her warm up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Let it be a little bit.
Let's talk a little bit. I mean, again, coming back to you saying you felt more connected to this. You guys have also, you furnished your apartment. You've been speaking with Anna.
Mm-hmm.
That you spoke about Hui. These kind of relationships that you build along the way through this whole process. Was that kind of a surprise for you, or is it you kind of expected that, or is it confirmed that connection that you have with this place that you've still got? You've built other relationships along the way
with you.
Like yeah.
You were like the first one. Well, we had Anna Karma, right? That was. I mean, I was in touch with her. I was sad to see her go, but then we got you. But
sloppy seconds.
Yeah.
No, but I think you become, friends.
Yeah.
And we make sure we see you every time we're here.
Yeah.
And connect and somehow and go out to lunch and take me to restaurants that I've been to.
I will find one that you haven't been to. That's my goal.
See, I'm the one that introduced you to Sitiado.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And that was good.
Yeah.
Except I went there with my wife. She was really angry because they didn't have Mostella, and I'd sold her on the Mostella.
You sold her on it.
You should have called before you went there.
Yeah,
that's what I'll do next time. But I mean, how important for you has that been? Those connections along the way in helping you guys take these steps, especially the way that you did it with the timing, with all these things happen at the right time.
There was like a lot of trust.
There was a big amount of trust
and confidence, and that you guys knew what you were talking about, and
Yeah, everything about your organization has been rock solid. I mean, everything. I mean, I don't. Complaints I have are more like placement of things than anything else.
Yeah, you've got a beautiful furniture pack. We just need to change the sofa around.
That's all good.
We'll speak to Anna.
Yeah, but no, I mean everything in terms of. I was on a mission to have this place done for her birthday. That's why we came in January. It was her birthday, and she didn't want to be home. So, it was a big deal. And
was an ugly one. Call it an ugly
Anna
one.
busted her butt to get
She
this
did, to get
place
this.
done. I mean,
Yeah,
I
she did.
give her a lot of credit, so
Even to get this for now.
yeah,
This
I mean,
outdoor furniture.
yeah, she keeps surprising us every time we walk in the door or something. Yeah, so
So she worked hard. She really, really worked hard. And, it's like all the trust and everything we had, we put it on you guys, and you guys did good. And it
Yeah.
worked out.
I'm glad.
and then we have friends.
And now you're friends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, do you know what we discovered? The pit stop.
Pit stop.
Interesting.
Oh, pit stop.
By where your
Right
office
by your
is.
office.
Ah, yeah, with the bands and
Interesting.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Eclectic bunch.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we learned on
Interesting.
Sunday.
I felt right at home. Oh well, yeah, that was crazy. That's not a G-rated story. No.
Yeah, we'll keep that for
Yeah.
after lunch.
Yeah.
A question that I wanted to, I mean, Dave, you've worked with like a whole bunch of bands.
Yeah.
So tell us some of the names. Let's go Foo Fighters because of in memory of
Sure.
where would you take them to eat? Where would you hang out with them here in Nazaré? What would you do? You got one day with Foo Fighters here in Nazaré. What are you going to do?
Where would I take them to eat in Nazaré? I think I would take them to O Sitio. Foo Fighters definitely would be.
Which one?
The
Sitiado?
Sitiado. Yeah, that would be a good
You
place.
gotta take it to the Maltinha.
Oh yeah, with Johnny Five Cups.
Tell us about Johnny Five Cups. That's a cool.
Oh, so Johnny, I give everybody names, right? And so there's this local restaurant cafe on the strip that's tucked in that we go to, and when we started going there, we would go there at around 2:00 in the afternoon, and this older gentleman would show up and take the middle outside table, and he would get 5 glasses of wine, and he'd sit there and he gets this big, huge Bic lighter out, like lighter that you use to light a grill, and he gets a cigarette and he's shaking, and then he goes through, by the time he gets through cup number 3, he stops shaking, and then what we noticed is that every day at the same time he
Every
was
day.
coming.
2:00.
And then we found out the story behind those 5 cups.
Okay.
Those 5 cups are for 4 of them are for his deceased family members, and then 1 of them is for him.
Wow.
And that's the story
And
behind.
he does it every day.
And he does it every day. Every
Rain or
day.
shine.
Rain or shine, same
If
time.
we go there in an hour, he'll be
Yeah.
there
At,
Oh, yeah.
2 o'clock, he'll be there. Yeah.
So they come and they line up 5 glasses.
for him.
For him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they do.
Yeah.
So it's called,
Beautiful.
instead of Maltinha, it's called Johnny Five
5
Cups.
cups. Yeah. And so, that would be a place to take the Foo Fighters.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
think they would
They
do
would love that.
They would enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
See, Sitiado's a little too, you
So,
gotta go more local.
Yeah, that's real local. City
Yeah.
is a little bit fancy for them,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little
true.
bit.
Johnny Five Cups would be right at home, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus the salad de polvo there is amazing.
As good as the one up
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, better.
What resource? I mean, you guys. What kind of for people that are looking to do this? What you've done, moving here or having something here more permanent.
Yeah.
What places like resources online that you would send people to just get a feeling for the place, to get a real idea of what it's about? Where would you send people to look?
Well, I'd send them to your site, right?
Mhm.
So for listings, I think you guys do a great job. For getting a feel of the country of Nazaré. I mean, I would Google Nazaré online, Nazaré Big Waves. That site gives you the taste of the waves and the wave reports, and then I don't know, for more formality kind of stuff, I think the government sites are what we used too. I mean, we didn't really look up have to look up like the feel of the land and all that kind of
stuff.
Yeah, but yeah.
So what would you want people to know about Nazaré, Gina, that maybe they don't know? Like if you had to say, just I want you to know these key things, 2 or 3 points, what for you would you want people to know about this place? Or maybe you don't want them to know, and you just keep it a secret.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
That's.
I tell people in the States that tell me we have to. Oh, I got to go to Portugal. I said, no, it's not that good. It's not that good. But
You're not missing anything.
I'm not missing much.
I said, don't ruin my country.
But
I said, don't ruin my country. I mean, I like it's beautiful and great food. People are very friendly.
Yeah. It's chill. It's like
Yeah,
everything.
it
So
is.
that when you get here, like coming from growing up,
New
from
Jersey.
on the East Coast, New York area, when we're very rushed, very right, and so when you get here,
You have to learn.
You have to. It takes you a while to decompress, right? So you kind of like the ride from the airport's usually like, oh, come on, and all that, and so that that's one of the things that's
Continue.
What do you got?
yeah, that I think it takes you definitely have to decompress, and
Me
it's
more.
just so it is
Me
laid
more.
back. It reminds me, you know what? I mean, I always say this about this place is it reminds me. Take the European out of it, but the land formations and the vibe reminds me of the Pacific West Coast.
Okay.
So that's kind of there's kind of that assimilation.
Yeah, we were there in 2019, and it was like it's very similar. The coast is very similar.
Yeah.
But,
So, as you know, this is an episode called My Portugal.
Yes.
So, what makes Gina first, and then Dave, what makes this Portugal your Portugal?
it's always been my Portugal. Born and raised here, so it's my Portugal, and can't take it away from me. I mean, I'm very in the States. I'm very American, very American. But like my food is always very Portuguese, and when I come here, it's just like I'm back home, where I was born and raised. Because there is just so different. It's just so different. Like I said, you have to decompress. I have to go from my New York state of mind into here.
Mhm.
And it's very easy. I mean, it takes a day. That's it, a few hours. But it's always been my Portugal. It's always been my country, and just can't take it away. Something you cannot take away.
And for you?
The welcomeness. I mean, just the way people are here are very, they're very friendly, and so you always feel welcome. And then it being so laid back, too, that combination of always being welcome and then it being, it just being very at ease is what makes me, and the waves.
And that's where I actually get to speak my language, because
Yeah.
I don't have anybody where I live that speaks my language. So when I come here, I actually get to speak my language. And they get very happy because I'll speak to him in English, and then I say something in Portuguese, and they're like, oh, you're Portuguese. Ah. And they get all happy. So, and I enjoy it. I enjoy speaking my language and getting back to it, because I've lost a lot of it. 40-something years, But I think I'm doing good.
You've worked with some of the biggest bands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
mixing,
right.
Beatles.
I've worked with Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. I've worked with Bob Dylan. I've worked with Led Zeppelin, Miles Davis, Bruce Springsteen.
Who would you bring here?
Who would I bring here? I'd love to bring Keith Richards here.
I knew that. I knew that was going to be it.
Keith Richards
You
here.
love this?
Oh yeah, he would love this.
Keith,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, Keith
Get him
Richards here
in.
would be, I'm being pressured to actually. You got to talk to him and get him to come here. And it's it's not that I really talk to him much.
Yeah.
I mean, when I worked with him face to face, that was 20-something years ago. But I just did a song. When was it? I finished an album that he's on back in last December. It was him and Willie Nelson performing live together. I've worked with Willie Nelson a lot too. Yeah. So them performing live at a Merle Haggard tribute concert, and so yeah. But that was virtual. I got sent hard drives with multi-track recordings on it, and then I did my stuff.
But Keith would dig it.
Keith would
love
dig
this.
it. Yeah, because he would definitely dig it.
Good stuff, guys. This has been awesome. I've enjoyed reminiscing,
Yeah,
and we'll do it more often. Lots
definitely.
more lunches.
September.
So then
And you have to
June.
find
June.
and you have to
June.
find that restaurant that we've
that
never
you haven't
to.
been.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, challenge accepted.
That's a good one.
And this is the part where I let you call it, and you say that's a wrap.
That's a
That's a
wrap.
wrap.
So thank you once again to Dave and Gina, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to the Simple Life.